Hello, 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 everyone. Hi, everyone. We are different sitting, different time, testing, different time, testing. If there are more moms awake at this time, I hope everyone is doing good. I hope everyone is doing great. I want you to go live. I hope everyone is doing good. I hope everyone is doing great. I want you to go live. If it's later than I thought that I could. Good evening, everyone. Hope everyone is doing great. Hope everyone is doing Hope everyone is doing amazing. We're gonna talk about an important subject. Gonna talk about an important subject. We're gonna talk about an important subject. Gonna talk about an important subject. How trauma affects our families. It might be very late for some people, but some people are still up. Those who are still up, I'm here. Good evening. Good evening, everyone. Let's start, everyone. Good morning, everyone. Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. Good evening, everyone. Let's start, everyone. Good morning, everyone. Good evening. Good evening. My name is Coach Brace. I'm a healing and transformation coach on a mission to help my moms heal from past trauma, discover the reason why they are born despite just having babies, and of course, embrace motherhood at every stage. It is 10:47 Central Time where we're going live. Hey, I was told that TikTok is not sleeping. Everyone is awake. It's 24 hours. So, welcome. Where you guys tuning in from? Where you guys tuning in from? What are you doing? How are you doing? Good afternoon. Good evening, Glorious. Good evening. How is everybody from? So down below, tell where you tuning in from. Where are you connecting from? VGR. Good afternoon. Welcome. Good evening. Welcome. 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 Beautiful Alpha T. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Good afternoon, welcome. Good evening, welcome, 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 beautiful Alpha T. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome, everyone is tuning in. Where are you guys tuning in from? Where are you guys? Everyone connecting Jeremiah. Good afternoon, good evening. I'm used to the afternoon because I usually do the live early in the morning or in the afternoon. Okay, so good afternoon. I think I did do the live early in the morning or in the afternoon. Okay, so good afternoon. I think I did live once at this time, but I was in French, so it is in English, and we're going to talk about how the impact of trauma in our families. Okay, I did the same live in French on Monday. All right, easy to be doing two lives at the same time on the same day. I try as much as I can, but the reality and the schedule why wasn't allowed lives at the same time on the same day. I try as much as I can, but the reality and the schedule why wasn't allowed. Okay, family comes first. As you coming in, say hi, say hello, where you guys tuning in from. Make sure you're sharing the live at least for 10 people to 10 people, 10 friends. Make sure you type, okay? As you're tuning in, maybe it's the first time on TikTok. If it's not, there's a heart. Make sure you type, okay? As you're tuning in, maybe it's the first time on TikTok. If it's not, there's a heart here down below. We call it clocking in the TikTok street. and as you're coming in somebody's live, you tap the live and you clock in. And by clocking in, Jessica, good evening, beautiful. As you're clocking in, TikTok gives you 45 free engagement points. But also, the more you are engaged, also in the comment, as you engage in the comment, it not only the impact of trauma on our family and society. The impact of trauma on our family and society. So I might be only doing part today and maybe going back and doing the second part tomorrow, okay, as time allows, because we don't want to sleep too late, okay. There's still, school is not over yet, but I had to do what I had to do. I didn't want to wait for tomorrow because we have a schedule that we need to respect. So we are going live as of now to do what I had to do. I didn't want to wait for tomorrow because we have a schedule that we need to respect. So we are going live as of now. The schedule: Monday, Tuesdays, and Thursdays. Okay, Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday. As much as I want to go live at those times that I set up, family wise, circumstances wise, I might not be going to go at the same time. Like I say, it might be some day might be in the morning, some might be in the evening. Okay, again, let's deal with it. It's life. Family comes first. It is what it is. Okay, so hashtag mom life. All right, guys. So before I start, I know I told you what I was doing, but I want to share a little story, okay? A little story that I watched. It was a little reel, like a clip, okay? Good evening, guys. Tap the live as you're coming. Tap, tap, tap. Invite more people and share this live with at least 10 people as you come in, sharing your group, sharing your communities everywhere, because we're going to talk about a juicy subject that no one likes to talk about, that is live with at least 10 people as you come in, sharing your group, sharing your communities everywhere, because we're going to talk about a juicy subject that no one likes to talk about, that is my mission. It is my divine mission, is my godly mission, is the reason why I exist, to help you heal from trauma, okay, and walk your inside beauty. And hey, it is the week that we're celebrating Mother's Day, guys. So your inside beauty. And hey, it is the week that we're celebrating Mother's Day, guys. So it's good to know, as mom, why I focus so much about mom, what I love so much, about being a mom. And if I did not make that decision to heal for my trauma, okay, for those who never heard my story, I attended one of the lads that I share my story, but at the age of 11, I was sexually abused, and I became a mom for the first time. I was just 11 years old. And as a result of this, age of 11, I was sexually abused, and I became a mom for the first time. I was just 11 years old. And as a result of this, I was traumatized, I was broken, I was wounded, I was devastated, spiritually, emotionally, and it took me 20 years. Okay, so to sum up, let to learn the person that had done that, to come myself back. I was successful, let's say that, career was, was, but I was always sad. I was always crying. I was always miserable. I always tell people that the lady that you see smiling today, the lady that you see the way she's looking and beautiful and stuff, okay, the lady that you see the way she's looking and beautiful and stuff, okay, wasn't always that one, okay. Really bitter, guys. No joke. Was really bitter. I couldn't smile. I couldn't keep transforming. Listen, I was really bitter, guys. No joke. Was really bitter. I couldn't smile. I couldn't keep a real relationship, friendship wise, whatsoever, because of trauma. So as a result of that, I realized that my life was going down. Said yes, I know the society focused on the like I say, many degrees you have, your PhD, whatsoever degree that you have, but literally internally I was dying. Okay, yes, I was making those degrees, I was making whatever that was all distinction, but inside I was dying, inside I was done, inside I was not happy. When I came down, as a result of that, I came back one afternoon, and then after work, and I started crying. And after 100,000 times, that's why I heard the voice that I believe at the Holy Spirit at the time, who was telling me that, Bricia, you need to forgive. You're sitting on your blessing. And from there, as much as I want to sit on that, it's my story. me that Bricia, you need to forgive. You're sitting on your blessing. And from there, as much as I want to sit on that, this is my story. It took me 3 years to obey, okay? And I learned that delay obedience, okay, is disobedience. I learned that the hard way. But as a result of that, okay, after 20 years, I was able to forgive, okay? I was able, to live from that, the result of that, okay, after 20 years, I was able to forgive, okay? I was able, to live from that, trauma mentality to trauma mentality. I discovered the purpose. The Lord healed me. I made a decision to go and turn my page, turn the page to my past, and then of course, become that woman that I am today. So I accept my mission. I accept the purpose. I discovered the reason why I was born, and from that, one of the things that was asked is the power of forgiveness story. And when I also give you the tips that the Lord has given me to hear, and to forgive. So that's what I do, the healing ministry. That's the reason why I do what I do. And then trauma almost destroy me, okay? And how those impact. So we're going to talk about today why, how does the impact of trauma in our family, okay? So, and here trauma is parents and grandparents. Guys, I wrote some notes, but I can also speak about it because I talk about it every day anyways. So the inherited parents or grandparents, okay? Give me a second. The inherited parents or grandparent is often, sometimes I always say that one of the main reason that you need to heal from past trauma, so you don't transfer the trauma to your kids, as a mom to the grandkids, okay? And also, hold on a second. Give me a second, guys. Give me a second. Good evening, everyone coming in. Make sure you're tapping the live. Make sure you're sharing the live. Make sure you're inviting more people in this room, guys. As I'm getting my notes together really, really quick. All right. So the heal trauma. Okay, this is what why we need to heal from the trauma, and what is healing. Okay, because again, sometimes we talk about healing, but again, we need to talk about the reason to heal, or for those who refuse to heal, what is really your unhealed trauma causing you in your family. Okay, so the parent or grandparent is often unconsciously you in your family. Okay, so the parent or grandparent is often unconsciously, okay, passing the trauma down to the children, and this is usually goes to happen to epigenetic changes, okay, emotionals. You have the emotional, you have the behavior patterns, and you have, for example, the parents, okay. I didn't even know some people inherit the attitude, the bad or good. Some parent inherit the tone of the voice. Some children inherit the character. Some have even like the may develop a fear, okay, fear, anxiety, bad temper, and all of that, even separation anxiety. Why? Because you've seen the parents living maybe like, if you have a mother who abuse, or mother, who may become either, overprotective. So, for example, as for me, raising my son, at first, I was really protective. I was overprotective. I was super protective. Why? Because I was scared of letting him going out. I was scared or letting him having. I was scared of letting him going out. I was scared or letting him having friends. I was scared of like really letting him, I would say, be the kid that God has called him to be. And again, it's not like I wasn't trusting him, to so to speak, but the broken in me, okay, it's not like I wasn't trusting him, to so to speak, but the broken in me, okay, the lack of confidence in me. That's why I'm I'm teaching you guys in 2 weeks in May 17, the masterclass about regaining your confidence. And because I lack, as a result of the trauma, I lack confidence. Maureen, Jano, good evening. Hello, everyone who is coming in. Make sure you tap the screen. Make sure you share the live. Make sure you say hi, you say hello. So as a result of that, because of my brokenness, because of my lack of confidence, I literally kind of transferred that anxiety to my son. So what I was doing, I remember, because of my lack of confidence, I literally kind of transferred that anxiety to my son. So what I was doing, I remember, one afternoon he had, when he was, I think, 7th or 8th grade, and he received an invitation to go to a party with his friend. And I was at first, I would become nervous. I say, no, you're not going to go, you cannot go. Why? Because the fear of something that happened there. I was always, being scared. I was always scared of my son attending a party, or, mortgage mama, good afternoon, good evening, in. Make sure you're sharing the live to 10 people, 10 friends. Make sure you're tapping the screen. Make sure you're following also. And say hello, say hi, let's connect and not collect. Let's connect and not collect, okay? So because of that, I was saying that the result, we're talking about the how trauma impact our family, not collect. Let's connect and not collect, okay? So because of that, I was saying that the result, we're talking about the how trauma impact our family, okay? And by being a mom who was abused, okay, as a young child, me having a son, or now her daughter, but with my son, it started with my son. That's how I realized that without me knowing that, I was unwillingly, unconsciously transferring. It started with my son. That's how I realized that without me knowing that, I was unwillingly, unconsciously transferring trauma to my son. As I was doing that, I was sharing the story that when he was invited, I remember the first time that happened, he was invited to a birthday party of his either 7th or 8th grade. I don't remember exactly the grade, but anyways, I remember that he was invited to a party, and as he brought me the invitation card, and I literally automatically told him that he could not go. And he was like, why, mommy? Why am I not going to go? Is my friends, all my friends are going to be there. Why am I not going to be invited? Why? And I told him, why am I not going to be invited? Why? And I told him, literally, like, you cannot go. Why? Because I don't trust the people that you're going. And it was like, but you don't know those, people even. You don't even know what's going to happen, etc. And I said, no. And I was just telling him no, because it was the bad. I didn't even know the people that I was there. I didn't even know, so to speak, but it was just the anxiety. It was just, my lack of confidence. It was just the fear. Why? The fear was coming from me being abused. The anxiety. It was just, my lack of confidence. It was just the fear. Why? The fear was coming from me being abused, or not trusting anybody else. Because anytime I would think about my son being away from me, anything could have happened to me. So you couldn't even think about it. You couldn't even do. So you become like psycho if you want to, and that's what happened. How? But that's how we transfer literally the trauma that we are in our kids. So whatever you want to know, but that's how we do without viewing. So maybe you have a parent who is really overprotective. Okay, if you have parents who have that, some of us grew up with also super protective parents. Any overprotective. Okay, if you have parents who have that, some of us grew up with also super protective parents, and those parents will not let us go outside, play, so to speak, and do what we had to do. Why? Because there was a fear of something could happen to you, and whatever you wanted or no, that kind of fear. Why? Because there was a fear of something could happen to you, and whatever you wanted or no, that kind of fear, that kind of security will be transferred to the kid. So you have the mother, who was abused. You have the father, maybe, who was also abused, because also men get abused. You have kind of a attitude that we have, or protection over our kids. So therefore, without us realizing, we are blocking, we are stopping our kids really enjoying their their childhood. Why? Their childhood. Why? Because so. And I always say that the number one place, okay, where trauma is observed where trauma is experienced is in our family. Let me say that again. The number one place, okay, the number place trauma is experienced is in our family. Let me say that again. The number one place, okay, the number one place where trauma is experienced at first, it is in our family. Friendship, so to speak. You will not know that you are you traumatized. You will not know, exactly the consequences, of that. But it's really experiments in the society, in the contact of another person. So your attitude is your attitude is your attitude is changed. You're doubtful, you're kind of skeptical, you're emotional, your behavior patterns are kind of weird. Why? Because of trauma. So trauma changes you, and without you knowing it, you become a bitter person. Like our patterns are kind of weird. Why? Because of trauma. So trauma changes you, and without you knowing it, you become a bitter person. Like I was saying, I was a bitter person. I stopped smiling. I stopped even like trusting anybody around me. I stopped, having really that kind of relationship, so to speak. Why? Because I was always thinking in my mind, you become kind of a cycle, okay? You think that everyone is going to come across you. You will not trust them. Anyone is going to come across you will not be a good friend. Anyone is going to come across you, it's just going to be that person who's going to hurt you, who's going to harm you. And that's how it is. It's just going to be that person who's going to hurt you, who's going to harm you. And that's how it is, when you have had trauma. Okay, so as a result of that, you have children. Children carry emotional burden that they don't understand. On Monday, I was giving the example of kids. A lot of parents and who behave or misbehave. I want to stop that here, okay? Saying that those toxic patterns, for example, coming back to our wounds, literally stay inside our womb. Why? Because in our womb, that's what we create. Let me say that again. Our womb, inside our womb, that's where the trauma reside, okay? It reside inside because inside our womb, that's where we create. And by creating, okay, as we're giving a baby, it reside inside because inside our womb, that's where we create. And by creating, okay, as we're giving a baby, give me a second, try to charge this. The womb creates, and inside our womb, okay, we create baby. But again, I love to say that unfortunately, what we don't know, what you don't understand is that is dead womb. What is a dead womb? A womb who has been damaged due to trauma. Many women have lost their confidence. Many women have lost their self-esteem. Many women have lost even the sense of living just because they have been through trauma. And usually as a result of that, they stay in abusive relationship. They stay in a fearful relationship. They stay in places when they're not welcome. They stay in places where they shouldn't be. They let themselves be abused because it is the only reality that they know. It is the only space that they know in their mind, in their spirit. And then unconsciously, okay, your subconscious mind, okay, has been used to you being abused, has been used to be, talking to, has been used to be just like, harsh talking. That's why you see a lot of men is hard. They might know that this relationship that they are in is abusive relationship to be just like, harsh talking. That's why you see a lot of men is hard. They might know that this relationship that they are in is abusive relationship, is a toxic relationship. They are in a narcissistic relationship, but they will stay. And most of the time, when you check the background, when you check the past, when you check exactly when these women are coming from, usually most of them come back from the abuse story. Most of them come from either abuse home. They have had at least one sort of trauma in their life. Therefore, I would say that they kind of used to a toxic part. For example, there is a movie. Why? There's a movie that I watched. I forgot the title. And then in that movie, there is a mom. Okay, there is a mom. Maybe I don't want to give the title for a reason because it might bring some trigger to some people. A mom, okay, there's a mom. Maybe I don't want to give the title for a reason because it might bring some trigger to some people. A mom, okay, who was raising her kids by herself. As the result of that, raising her kids by herself, she was single mom. Okay, that's what it means, raise a kid by herself. She was a single mom, and then raising her kids by herself was kind of she was single mom. Okay, that's what it means, raise a kid by herself. She was at some point a guy. Okay, she met a guy. I don't remember if they're married or if he wanted to marry her, but they were living together, and she had a young girl. Okay, this mom, I'm talking about, stay with the story. Okay, this mom to take care of her children. Okay, bless her heart. And all of that, all of those moments, the young girl was living with her daughter, was fine, was nice, was intelligent, and this young man happened to live with them in the house. But again, at some point, the man that she believed or trusted was supposed to be the husband starting abusing the child. And there was one reaction, okay, that I kind of noticed, okay, because again we're talking about there's one reaction, okay, that I kind of noticed, okay, because again we're talking about okay, hold on. We talk about something happened. Okay. We talk about how, the unsolved trauma, can block us, but how also we transfer the unsolved trauma. Okay. The reason why we not hear from past trauma, or if you know here, how unconsciously we can transfer that trauma or the energy or the toxic pattern. So this girl, okay, this young girl, one night or one afternoon, the man who was supposed to be the father or the stepdad of this child starting abusing the child, and then the child comes to the mom and telling the mom, confessing the mom. At first, okay, that's what I believe. That's what I thought at first. The mom did not believe her. The mom did not believe her, but inside of her, she knew there was something inside of her that kind of remember, that kind of remind her what she has been. And after the mom finally confronted the guy, the guy denied. Okay, the guy denied. Okay, the guy denied. And when the guy denied, the mom went in the room and started crying, etc., kick him out. And I think they end up being together or she end up going wrong. But anyways, they are multiple books. But the thing is that at some point, she stopped in the closet and started crying. She was crying not only for her child, okay? She was not only crying for her child, but she was also crying for herself because she was living or she was reliving the same thing that she has lived when she was young, because also herself was abused as reliving the same thing that she has lived when she was young, because also herself was abused as a child. It's really sensitive that I'm saying, but again, as much as sensitive as it is, I hope I was also abused as a child, okay? As much as I didn't want to talk about it, but now today I'm a mom. I'm really cautious, okay, about what I do, but I'd rather have my daughter, listen to it, for my story. I'd rather her know exactly what happened to mom than her listen to other people's, whatever it is happening. But not because I want her to be scared of people, but I want her to know that not everybody that you see you can be trustworthy, even the people that you think they're familiar with, okay? So in this movie, that woman trusted that man. That woman, thought that it was the man, it was the man, etc. But again, the circle started repeating itself, and that's what we call generation curses. And one of the reasons, usually the generation curses happens usually most of the time when generation curses. And one of the reasons, usually the generation curses happens usually most of the time when mom who was carrying the womb, was carrying the baby, even while she was pregnant, did not take the time, did not do the work that she was supposed to do to heal. So, because, listen to me clearly, guys, because we are carrying the womb and then the umbilical cord, there's one thing that we call the umbilical cord. Through the umbilical cord, there's blood. Through the umbilical cord, there's one thing that we call the umbilical cord. Through the umbilical cord, there's blood. Through the umbilical cord, the kids eat. Through the umbilical cord, the kids drink water. But also through the umbilical cord, trauma is transferred. Let me say that again. Through the umbilical cord, the child eats. Through the umbilical cord, the child drinks water. Through the umbilical cord, trauma is also transferred. So if you are pregnant, or when you were pregnant, if you were, if you were living in a toxic environment, if you were living in an abusive relationship, narcissism whatsoever, and you did not live that physically, you did not live that emotionally for the 9 months, there are 100% chances, or 99% of chances that the child that is going to be born after it was nurtured in that environment was going to be traumatized. That's how unconsciously we transfer our trauma to our children. That's how unconsciously, as a mom, we carry the life inside of our womb. But again, that's why the conclusion that comes to, when our womb is dead, okay, a womb that is wounded by how? Wounded by trauma. And you not knowing that that young girl was abused, that young girl has had who was molested, who did not heal, we did not know that healing was necessary before you carry that baby inside of your womb. Your womb was not sanitized, your womb was not prepared, your womb was not equipped spiritually, emotionally, physically, to carry the baby. Therefore, the baby was inside, but again, you were transferring the trauma. That's why you see a lot of kids when they are born, and they grew up, they end up having almost the same car. If you were screaming while you were pregnant, or as a child, if you notice yourself as a young girl now, if you had a mom who was abusive, because if you notice yourself as a young girl now, if you had a mom who was abusive, because you also have that. If you had a mom who was always yelling, if you had a mom who was cursing, throwing stuff at you, unconsciously, okay, that trauma was transferred. One, now that you become an adult, now you a mom, that you're married, etc., you will notice that you're starting having the same pattern as your mom. Myself, I pray that this helping a lot of people, because again, we think that by us keep going on in our life, you know what happened to you, no one knows what happened to me. It doesn't matter. I'll go and have I'll go have my PhD. I'll go keep and going with life. I'll go get married. But again, the inside work, until you have done the work that you hear to forgive and forget. Let me tell you, it doesn't matter what title that you bring. It doesn't matter how long you have studied. It doesn't matter in which castle that you live. It doesn't matter in which castle that you live. It doesn't matter even if you leave the country, the places, the people where the. But again, it says that the mind might forget, but the body never forgets. So inside of you, there's still that little girl who is still, thinking about that mom, who is still mad at that mom, who is still complaining about that mom, whom without her knowing has, unconsciously just reproduced the same trauma, toxic pattern. So now you realize that, I started, oh my God, if you do realize that, I start yelling like my mom, I start cursing like my mom, I start treating, okay, maybe my boyfriend, my husband, my fiance, just like my mom was treating my father. Why? Because inside of you, there's that little girl who was always observing her father, okay, her mom talking to her father the way he was treating. So in the families, those are the traits that we experience, okay, in the family, especially with our relationship, the way we behave, the way we speak, the way we interact, the way we talk, the way we the relationship pattern that we have with our children, when you have a children, the way even you are as a wife in the house once you get married, is all has a lot of related, by if you were abused or not. I just talk about that sensitive attacks that really affect our soul, especially as mom, than just us sugarcoating. The earlier we start really being open and talk about exactly those things that really affect our soul, our mind, our will, our emotion, and or just only like just talking about, oh, it's just PTSD or whatsoever. It's good, but again, we need to go to the root cause of it. What has caused you to start misbehaving? What are caused you start believing the way you're behaving? What is the root of that? Okay, and usually our children are the one, experimenting that at first. So the root of that, okay? And usually our children are the one, experimenting that at first. So our children carry our emotional burdens they don't understand. Sometimes the child will start screaming, and you'll be like, why is the child screaming? Again, why? Because maybe during the pregnancy you were nervous. Why is the child screaming? Because maybe as he was growing up, single day, all you do with the father and you, dad and mom, they yell every day. Every day they talk to each other bad, but the child start yelling, screaming, or just cursing. Why? Because that's the environment that is being raised in. So it's really something, okay? Trauma also damages a family relationship. It weakens the person's ability, to form healthy bonds. Okay, let me say that again. Trauma's damage, okay, weakens a person's ability to form a healthy bond. A lot of people have had a hard time, to have a good relationship. A hard time, to have a good relationship. As a result of that, you have lack of trust. A lot of people, anytime they have a new relationship, some people, you start breaking down. You have what we call the lack of trust. And how does the lack of trust is really manifesting? You will just at first you starting digging the person phone. I know the phone is a big thing, okay? And then from the phone you starting numbers, and then from the phone number being like, if phone is a big thing, okay? And then from the phone you starting numbers, and then from the phone number being like, if you see, sitting that hand by hand, you're sitting next to each other, and then literally looking over the phone, the person, do you want to see who is texting? Why? Because you're lacking the trust. You're lacking trust. And the lack of trust is usually related to the previous relationship that you have. The reason why I advise people, and the lack of trust is usually related to the previous relationship that you have. The reason why I advise people, you don't stop going from relationship to relationship. The reason why you don't take time to hear, the reason why you don't really, like, you don't hear or you don't understand the necessity of taking a pause. You need to pause in between relationship. You need to sit down, and take an exam of yourself. You need to sit down and realize that what had happened to my previous relationship. What did we break up? What have I learned to this relationship? What happened to me? Okay, did I become? What are the things that cause the relationship to break down? People don't take time to really analyze themselves. What do we usually do? We accuse each other. Oh, the reason why my relationship to break down. People don't take time to really analyze themselves. What do we usually do? We accuse each other. Oh, the reason why my marriage didn't work, it was my ex-husband. The reason why this didn't work, it was my ex-wife. All of that, we stop accusing each other. We keep accusing each other, but we need to have, and this thing that I'm talking about needs to be in the individual work. You need to take the self work. You need to self check. You need to really and this thing that I'm talking about needs to be in the individual work. You need to take the self work. You need to self check. You need to really self examine your conscience. We need to sit down and start asking yourself, grace of God, good evening, everyone that's coming in. Guys, make sure you're sharing the live. I don't sharing the live. I'm talking to myself. Share the live, say hi, say hello, connect, guys. Tapping. There's a word that say clocking. As you're clocking in, it's showing a TikTok. It's giving you 45 point engagement point, guys. So whatever you understand what I'm saying, whatever you it's kind of a little hurtful I'm saying, but it's necessary. It's about time that what I'm saying, whatever it's kind of a little hurtful I'm saying, but it's necessary. It's about time that we talk about real conversation that affects us, because our community is not growing. Our community, there's a lot of breaking marriages. There's a lot of relationships that are not working. A lot of people are not really, things are not working the way they should work. Why? Because we keep on just kind of sugarcoating stuff, and it's about time, okay, to sit down and really talk about it. Okay, it's really, really important. In order for us to heal, talk about healing, to think about healing, to start the healing process, we need to sit down and have this serious conversation that I'm talking about. Okay, so you need to have that. You need to sit down and ask yourself. Also, the lack of trust, freaking argument, a lot of people, as soon as they meet, they always argue. There's always a trigger that bring back, you see, or as soon as he says or she says something, that kind of reminder the person who used to abuse you or the narcissist, and you start yelling, screaming, etc. Those are the says or she says something, that kind of reminder the person who used to abuse you or the narcissist, and you start yelling, screaming, etc. Those are the patterns, those are the behavior that still show that you are wounded because you did not take time to hear in between your relationship. You jump from one relationship to another relationship without you taking the time. Behavior that still show that you are wounded because you did not take time to hear in between your relationship. You jump from one relationship to another relationship without you taking the time to hear. Okay, so you also have difficulty, difficulty managing your emotion. A lot of women have suffer what we call anger. I told you at the beginning I was an angry person at anybody, everybody. Okay, guys, don't mock me. Everybody, anybody, and whatsoever. Life was miserable. I was always complaining. Don't mock me. Everybody, anybody, and whatsoever. Life was miserable. I was always complaining. I was always taking life to the wrong side. Everything, no matter what you would do, what I would do, I always find the way to complain. And the Bible that you and I read, if you're a Christian, the Bible said that it's better to sit on the top of the plane. And the Bible that you and I read, if you're a Christian, the Bible said that it's better to sit on the top of the roof than sitting in the house of a colossal woman. The Bible say it's better to sit on the roof, to stay on the roof, than being in the same room of a colossal woman. So anger is, I would say that anger is more than just a feeling. It is really a spirit, and the spirit of anger is one of the root cause of the spirit of anger is unresolved trauma. Let me say that again. The root of an of anger is really unresolved trauma. A lot of women who have been traumatized, a lot of women who have been either sexually, emotionally, or physically abused, have had their anger issue because have been either sexually, emotionally, or physically abused, have had their anger issue because again, inside of you there's something that is hurting. Inside of you there is something that is broken, and without you knowing, it has been bitterness, okay, inside of you. It has been sadness. And then one of the story that I love to compare, that one of the beautiful story that I like one of the beautiful story that I like money story. We have the story of Ruth and Naomi, okay, and we have the story of Ruth and Naomi. Ruth was that woman who lost her husband, okay, and Naomi was the mom of, of course, that without her knowing on the trip, as she was asking people coming to that new city trip, as she was asking people coming to that new city again, coming back home, she's changing her name. She said, "Call me, don't call me Naomi, call me Mara." Call me Mara. And Mara means what? Bitterness, what? Bitter water. And the bitter water is kind of the state of her mind, the state of her heart. And the Bible says also, from the abundance of her heart, the mouth speaks. So the words that were coming out of Naomi's mouth, because she was so bitter, she was hurt, she was wounded, she has just lost a child, two sons, because her two sons died, and her two children died, and she was bitter, with life. So she's changed the anger from her life, the pain, okay, from her heart made her change who she was. So she now said, don't call me Naomi, but call me Mara. So her name change came from the bitterness of her heart that was caused to the trauma that she was going through, okay? So it can change your identity. Her name change came from the bitterness of her heart that was caused to the trauma that she was going through, okay? So it can change your identity, it can change the mood, it can also affect, your ability. So you also have emotional disconnection, okay? Emotional disconnection. A lot of people, they live in the same house, but they're physically connected. They might have relationship, okay? They might have intercourse as married people, but they are emotional. They're physically connected. They might have relationship, okay? They might have intercourse as married people, but they are emotionally disconnected. Okay, why? In the same household, or some parents don't have the relationship with their kids. Some parents never have a relationship with the kids. Some parents don't even have time for the children. And again, I was saying that even in French on Monday, the child that you nurture is the child that's going to nurture you. Let me say it again. The child that you nurture is going to be the child that nurture you. The child that you love. Because again, in order for us to have it together, let me say that again. In order for us relationships, in order for us, to grow, we need to learn to spend time together. Unfortunately, a lot of family don't spend time together. Unfortunately, a lot of people don't spend time together. And if you don't spend time together, how are you expect to grow? If you don't spend time together, how are you expect to grow? If you don't spend time together, how do you expect to to have a relationship? If you don't spend time together, how do you expect to know each other? That's why a lot of families member, they're living in the same house, but a disconnection. The child is there in the room playing on the Nintendo. The mom is there cooking, the dad is there watching TV, whatsoever, doing. If family is totally emotionally disconnected because they don't have the relationship, they don't spend time together, they have nothing in common, they have no conversation. Matter of fact, now that we have the phones and the craziness of phone, one of the things they have no conversation. Matter of fact, now that we have the phones and the craziness of phone, one of the things is people are more connected on social media. People are more connected online. People are connected to people they don't even know, and they are disconnected with their home. Let me say that again. Let me say that again. Now, social media, some people are more connected with the strangers, are more connected with the people they don't know, are more connected with their followers, which is not bad because we're driving a community when you're intentional. Are more connected with the result of that. Homes are just bleeding. Home are just that's why we have a lot of breakup. That's why we have a lot of that's why we have a lot of breakup. That's why we have a lot of people a lot of divorce. That's why we have a lot of children who lack love because they don't have time to spend together. They're connected with the internet, they're connected with social media, they are disconnected with home. And that's really sad. Time to spend together. They're connected with the internet, they're connected with social media, they are disconnected with home. And that's really sad. And one of that, the emotional disconnection is due to trauma, unresolved trauma and healed trauma. Okay, so marital breakdown, strained parent-child relationship, and in the home environment. Another impact also is in the child development. We have a case. I'm an educator. Okay, I've been a teacher for years, and then if you see in the classroom, in the area of classroom, you will notice a child because there used to be a child. I will have kids, students who will see in the classroom, in the area of classroom, you will notice a child because there used to be a child. I will have kids, students who will come, and then all of a sudden you will notice that little John. Attitude has changed. All of a sudden, little John starting sleeping in class. Little John attitude has changed. All of a sudden, little John starting sleeping in class. You see, good afternoon, good evening, woman of God. How are you? Thank you so much for the day, Hot. You will notice that little John, thank you so much. You will notice that little John attitudes change. Attitude change. Little John will start withdrawing from everybody. Little John will stop playing with his. John will stop playing with his classmate. Little John will stop being here. Little John will be just like really kind of one side, etc. How are you? Okay, good to see you. Thank you so much for being here. Little John will be just like really kind of why because and when you come and ask to the child, because again you have to come and ask for the child, check, are you okay? Is any food at home? Are you eating well? Are you sleeping well? What's going on? Why? Because despite only being an educator, you also have to change her if the kids is okay, what's going on, why has the kid attitude change her if the kids is okay, what's going on, why has the kid attitude change. And most of the time, as you're talking to the child, as you're having a conversation with the kid, okay, of course you have had to build a relationship with the kid for the kid to trust you, okay. And as you're doing that, and the same thing that happened in the classroom, the same thing should happen in the house. If you don't have a relationship, if you don't, same thing should happen in the house. If you don't have a relationship, if you don't build a relationship with your kids, the kids will not be friends with you. A lot of you guys, things happen at school, things happen in real life, but you will never notice. Your kids will never come to you. Why? We never taken the time, to know your kids. We never taken time to really grow together and have a bondage together. That's why I was saying that a lot of we never taken the time, to know your kids. We never taken time to really grow together and have a bondage together. That's why I was saying that a lot of people are connected and they are disconnected in the family. So as you're talking about little John, one of the things how and you will notice that, and he will tell you, no, my parents are about to divorce, or my parents are divorced, or in the house everybody's fighting. I cannot sleep at night because no, my parents are about to divorce, or my parents are divorced, or in the house everybody's fighting. I cannot sleep at night because my dad and my mom always argue. The environment that the child is living drastically affect his well-being. Let me say that again. The environment that the child is raised, the environment really affect the child development. So you see a lot of kids, smart kids, amazing kids, they have a brilliant future, but because they were raised either in the abusive marriage, in the abusive relationship, or in the abusive environment, okay, the kids child development will start slowing down. The behavior in the abusing environment, okay, the kids child development will start slowing down. The behavior will show up. You see the kids emotionally starting having anxiety. The kids will have attachment disorder. The kids will start having lack of internal security anybody anymore. The kids will have what we call behavior issue. And that behavior issue, I always say that the child whom you don't give your attention will be looking for to show the attention in your issue. I always say that the child whom you don't give your attention will be looking for to show the attention anyway, because you need your attention. Thank you so much for the gift. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. The kids whom you don't give attention, the kids that you don't nurture, the kids that you don't love or show love, the kids whom you don't give attention, the kids that you don't nurture, the kids that you don't love or show love, the kids whom you don't develop and spend time with, with whatever you wanted, they will grow and look for the attention, to show those attention to you, whatever you wanted or not. How do they do it? That little Johnny, they will start calling you, okay, at school, because for attention. That's what it is. So sometimes when you see your child misbehaving at school or at home, for attention. That's what it is. So sometimes when you see your child misbehaving at school or at home, it's not they don't like kids. No, some of us have been beaten by our parents. Not saying that it was a bad way, but again, some of them, sometimes you should have just had a conversation with little Johnny and ask little at school or at home. It's not they don't like kids. No. Some of us have been beaten by our parents. Not saying that it was a bad way, but again, some of them, sometimes you should have just had a conversation with little Johnny and ask little Johnny what's going on. Why are you behaving the way you're behaving? Little Johnny might be mad. Little Johnny might be just a little angry. Little Johnny might be, but again, the kid's attitude has a lot to do with the environment that is being raised on. Previously, I was talking about who was pregnant. If when the mom was pregnant, she was in a toxic environment. If the mom was pregnant and she was traumatized, there's 99% of chances for the child that's going to be born from that womb was going to be traumatized, because that's how we transfer generation curses. That also how we transfer generation trauma. So that's how we transfer generation curses. That also how we transfer generation trauma. So our children are affected the behavior. Okay, the child started withdraw their attention, the child starting, lacking attention, the child starting developing learning difficulties. Some of the time, academically, not that the child is slow, it's not that the child is not smart, but again, you have to check the reason why little Johnny is good at slowing down. You have to check, is your kids okay? Good at slowing down. You have to check, is your kids okay? Is your kids happy? Is your kids having friendship? Because again, the child wants to have attention. When was the I always say that, when was the last time you went and check out your kids early? For those who have young kids, wants to have attention. When was the I always say that, when was the last time you went and check out your kids early? For those who have young kids, people are so so driven, so tired, so drawn into especially the capital society that we're living in. Money is good. I love money. We need money, but again, money works for me. I don't work for money. And people are just focusing on making more money. But again, you're making more money at the lack of the expense of your family. You're making money at the expense of your child, whom homework you haven't checked, whom a progress you haven't checked. I wasn't surprised that as a child I have, because I have a third grader, and there's another family that I know also have a third grader. And how do we compare the family that I know also have a third grader? And how do we compare the conversation? The child doesn't even know how to read or write her name, and they are third grader. Meanwhile, I see my third grade here writing now chapters book, because we started having normal book, but now she's reading chapters book. The other day she was like 20 pages, okay, or 30 a chapter book. I'm like, whoa! But the challenge is different. The difference between one, she has a parent who is constantly with her. Yes, what is the real problem in hand? Yes, that's what it is. That's the question we need to ask. So you have one constantly with her. Yes, what is the real problem in hand? Yes, that's what it is. That's the question we need to ask. So you have one parent, okay, is there involved checking the child, making sure the kid is well fed, making sure the kid is sleep well, making sure the kid is loved, it's nurtured, God. Because sometimes little Johnny needs a little hug. Making sure the kids is loved, it's nurtured, God. Because sometimes little Johnny needs a little hug. Little Johnny might be full of the nice next Nintendo. Little Johnny room might be full of, I don't know, the Jordans, all the things that you want. But again, those are material things that don't satisfy the emotional needs. That is the primary need of a child. Let me say it again. A lot of parents, because they're so focused, a lot of couple also divorce or separated because people don't spend time together anymore. People don't spend time together anymore. Yep, that loving touch can mean so much. It means so much. It has been proven that a child needs to be touched at least 15 times a day. 15 times a day. It has been proven that a child needs to be touched at least 15 times a day. 15 times a day. You're supposed to hug your child. You're supposed to hold his hand. You're supposed to. There's a thing that I have even with my son. I started with my son when I'm driving, because again, as I'm driving, I make sure that the car seat is the opposite of my hand, because I don't like them to be sitting back. I'm kind of playing with their hand. Why? Because the touch is important. The touch is important. Everybody wants to be touched. Let me tell you, even your husband, if you marry, your husband loves to. He's not going to ask you, honey, I want a hug. But let me tell you, there's a difference. Do that experience. Do that as you live in this job. Do that experience. Go hug your man. Hug him. And as you do that experience, do that as you live in this job, do that experience, go hug your man. Hug him. And as you're hugging him, tell him that you appreciate him. Tell him that you're grateful and thankful to have him. And do the same thing with little Johnny. Do the same thing with your kid. Every single day you need to touch your family. That hand has been given to us for a thing. It has a lot of things to do. That hand has been given to us for a thing. It has a lot of things to do.